Look, we've all been there. You've made a huge mess and you desperately wish you could just snap your fingers and have it all washed away. For Delhi, that mess is a thick, toxic smog that settles over the city every winter, turning the simple act of breathing into an extreme sport. In October 2025, officials tried a big, flashy solution. They tried to make it rain, fly a plane into the sky, spray chemicals into clouds, and hope a cleansing downpour washes the poison away. It sounded cinematic, but it's a myth, and like most myths, it crashed and burned when it met reality. The plan was ambitious, the goal was noble. The result? Nothing. Zero. The India Meteorological Department, the official rainkeepers, recorded a grand total of 0 precipitation after the trials. This wasn't a small miscalculation, it was a complete failure to launch. Imagine ordering a pizza and getting an empty box and a bill. This episode is a masterclass in the seductive appeal of a quick fix. It's dangerous. People want magic, but what's needed is hard, boring cleanup. The timing wasn't accidental. Delhi's air quality had plunged into very poor. Cloud seeding looked good on paper and TV, but the sky doesn't care. It follows physics, and those laws weren't on Delhi's side. This is the story of high hopes, higher costs, and a stubbornly dry sky. Alright, let's get this out of the way. What exactly is cloud seeding? It sounds like something a farmer in a sci-fi movie would do. And honestly, that's not too far off. In simple terms, cloud seeding is weather modification. A little nudge to coax hesitant clouds to rain. You fly a specially equipped aircraft directly into a cloud. Inside, it releases tiny particles into supercooled droplets. Most commonly, silver iodide, with a crystal structure similar to ice. These particles act as artificial ice nuclei, surfaces for vapor to condense and freeze onto. They grow heavier as vapor gathers, eventually falling as snow, or rain if warm enough. Think of making rock candy. You dangle a string into sugar water and crystals form on the string. Here, silver iodide is the string, raindrops are the candy. Please do not eat the rain. Here's the blinking catch. For any of this to work, you need the right clouds. You can't fly into a wisp and expect a downpour. Seeding enhances existing clouds. It doesn't create them. They must be cold, supercooled, and ready to grow. If the air is dry or clouds are thin and stable, shooting silver iodide is like throwing seeds onto concrete. You're just wasting expensive seeds. Delhi wasn't conjuring storms, it was betting on favorable clouds. Cloud seeding isn't a rain button, it's conditional and uncertain. So why did this multi-crore spectacle produce exactly 0 rain? The answer wasn't locked in a file. Scientists were shouting it from rooftops. The clouds were all wrong. An IIT Kanpur director admitted it wasn't completely successful because the clouds lacked moisture. You can't squeeze water from a dry sponge or seed atmospheric fluff. Climate scientist Roxy Matthew Cole put it bluntly. Conditions weren't suitable. In dry or stagnant air, there's simply nothing to seed. Delhi winters often have temperature inversions, a warm lid trapping cold, polluted air near the ground. It traps pollution and prevents the vertical lift needed for deep, wet clouds. The very conditions causing smog block the solution. An IIT Delhi study had already said cloud seeding isn't viable for Delhi's winters. Typical winter patterns make it largely ineffective. A fatal trifecta: not enough moisture, not enough saturation, and weak vertical currents. Science had already told them it wouldn't work. Not bad luck. Ignoring good science. The project proceeded despite missing ingredients. Like baking without flour, eggs, or sugar. You won't get a cake. Just a warm, empty bowl. And a bill. Now, let's talk about the money. A failed experiment is one thing. A costly failed experiment is another. The October 2025 trials cost Rs 3.5 crore. Rs 3.5 crore produced no rain. That money could buy school air purifiers, enforce emissions, or even a better boat party. And that was just the appetizer. Full winter. Rs 225 to 30 crore for maybe 1 or 2 days of relief. Cost effectiveness? Questionable. Costs aren't just flares. You need specialized aircraft, radar and instruments, and trained crews. Equipment alone can top RS-5 crore. Against lackluster results, it looks like political theatre. This isn't India's first rodeo. We've tried often with disappointing results. Karnataka spent crores. No significant rain attributable to seeding. Andhra ran big programs. Outcomes were inconclusive at best. Tamil Nadu tried multiple times. Results underwhelmed. Maharashtra even hired a US firm. No meaningful rainfall bump. Delhi tried in 1957 and 1972. Those faded without success. Some mountain snow gains exist, but flat plains rain is hotly debated. Reliable, on-demand rainfall remains unproven. Delhi 2025 wasn't bold. It ignored history and skepticism. Once announced, and then failed, critics piled on. And frankly, they had a point. The opposition called it a cruel joke. Why spend tens of crores against expert advice for tiny, brief gains? Scientists called it a distraction. More silver bullet chasing than serious attempt. A funfair. Flashy, expensive, ineffective. Great optics, poor outcomes. Performative environmentalism over real source control. After the planes land and the fake rain fails, we're left with the same choking smog. So, now what? The answer is obvious. Stop pumping toxins into the air. This failure is a clarification. Look down, not up. Tackle emissions at the source. Build transit people want to use. Crack down on industrial polluters and dirty power. End seasonal stubble burning that blankets Delhi. These solutions aren't new. Invest in the proven, not the flashy. Redirect those crores to cleaner industrial fuels, expanding the metro, and residue management for farmers. Not quick fixes, real fixes. Lasting, breathable air. No magic wand, just hard work that works.